What's up, everyone? Well, what a wonderful way to start the week. We had a stock that squeezed up 100% in about 30 minutes on breaking news. The news came out 8:30, bottom of the hour, and this thing took off. Ended up going from about $8 a share up to $16 a share. Right now, it's pulled back a little bit, right around 13, and I locked up about $13,000 trading it just in that first hour. And so today, stuck with a game plan that I shared with you yesterday, which was to get in, get green, get out, not overstay my welcome. Now, I will say that I got a little aggressive on this once it started to pull away. Once I had my cushion on the day, this is a moment where I made that sort of intuitive decision that this thing was pulling away. It was time to size up. So one of the things that you may know is that right now I start each day with a max of 5,000 shares until I'm up over $1,000. And I did that today. So I broke the ice today. First few trades on the day, let's pull it up. So my P&L today, you'll see here, I'm sitting at approximately $14,458. 13,000 of it is from VERB. And then the other two stocks were the first two stocks I broke the ice on today, which is why it's always good to be able to get in here early, break the ice, because I was able to build a little bit of a cushion. And then when VERB came out at 8:30 with news, I was already fired up in good position to trade it. So with bigger share size. So first trade of the day. Let's go all the way back here, 7 a.m. It's actually 7 a.m. and 9 seconds, XPON. So XPON, this morning when I sat down, TVGN was the leading gapper, but I looked at it and I said, I don't think it's going to work because it's on the backside of yesterday's move or Friday's move. Had this squeeze on Friday and now we're on the backside. Now, I'll say that at the open, this thing ended up doing a nice red to green move. It ripped up and it did break through Friday's high. So I'm impressed. I didn't expect that. But nonetheless, pre-market, there was really nothing to trade on that. So that was our leading gapper. Our second leading gapper at that time was XPON, which is currently up about 50%, but earlier it was up a little bit higher. XPON also started the move after hours, but typically I just don't expect an after hours move to carry over the weekend from Friday to Monday. Anyways, this one did. 4 a.m., it punches higher, get that nice squeeze up to 480. And as I was sitting down right here at about 7 a.m., I was sort of looking at it thinking, it's interesting, but is this thing going to work? Is it going to pull away? But this was what I noticed. I was like, well, look, it's a sub 1 million share float. It is holding up. So what I'm going to do is at 7 a.m., I'm going to watch for potential selling, because what we know is that 7 a.m. is kind of the new open. It's the new open because that's when traders at Thinkorswim, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, Fidelity, a lot of these brokers, that's when they're able to start trading. Most of these retail brokers, commission-free brokers, don't allow trading from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. So they open at 7 a.m. Even though the market officially opens for pre-market at 4 a.m., they don't open until 7 a.m. So all of a sudden at 7 a.m., you'll have traders who are taking profit. And this is kind of funny because, for instance, you know how options only trade from 9:30 until 4 p.m. So you could be in an options position and the stock could be up huge pre-market and there's nothing you can do. You can't sell. Your options aren't even showing prices. There's nothing you can do until 9:30. And so similarly, if you're trading with one of these commission-free brokers, which have their advantages, no commissions, that's awesome, but you're in a position and all of a sudden it's up a ton pre-market, there's nothing you can do until 7 a.m. So sometimes what we see is that stocks that have made a nice move pre-market, when the move started the previous day, that you'll have people who held it overnight and at 7 a.m. are going to take profit. So I was looking out for that. I said that's a possible risk on XPON. But what ended up happening was right at 7 a.m., we'll look right here, we get kind of the spike of volume right here, as you can see. And it dips down right here before 7 a.m. And then as soon as it starts to pop up, I was waiting for selling. I didn't see any. I saw green on the tape, so I got in. 5,000 shares, punched it. That's my max size. I was in at 425, 427, so 426 average, and it pops up to 442. Boom. I take my 10 cents off the table. Well, I guess it was 9 cents, so that's $452.58 of profit. Nice. All right. Is that my $1,000 cushion on the day? No, not quite. Was it a really solid trade? No, not really. It ended up dipping back down, but I took that quick base hit. Now, when I start the day at 0, which is every day since I'm day trading and I don't hold anything overnight, my first few trades, I'm quicker to take the profit off the table because, we've all had days where, we're green pre-market and then like up 20 cents and then it flashes back down and you're break even or you're red. And so I really try on those first few trades to pay myself, build a little bit of a cushion, and maybe I sell too soon, but you know what? That's okay. There'll be more opportunities. And if it keeps going and there are more opportunities, I just get back in. So XPON pops up, drops down, and I'm like, all right, well, that was a bummer. So it ends up coming back up a little bit later, but I said, nah, I'm not going back in for that one. So I didn't take any additional trades on XPON. The next stock I traded was IVA, and I didn't trade this until close to 7:30. So IVA also had a pop at 4 a.m. However, on the 5-minute chart, I said, this has a little bit of a problem. See if you can spot the problem on the 5-minute chart. Probably the most obvious problem is that you've got a bit of a topping tail here. So it spikes up on one candle on light volume. That's a problem. And then it sells on the next candle on heavy selling volume. So now I'm noticing this profile of high volume red candles, and that's not great, right? High volume red candles. But coming here until like 7:20, it comes right up to VWAP. And so I was like, you know what? This thing's right at VWAP, so let's see what it wants to do. All right, so I got a couple trades on this one. So it squeezes up to VWAP, and first trade on this was it pushes higher right here. We go up, we pull back. We go up, we pull back. I didn't take that pullback, but I did take this dip right here. So I got a dip right here, and that gave us a pop from about 345 up to about 360. 10 cents a share, again, it's like $500-600. Drops down, comes down a little bit lower. And on this one, let's see, where was my second trade? Oh, so my second trade on it was right down here. I bought this dip. Just the way it sort of bounced off VWAP, I thought we were going to set up for first 1-minute candle to make a new high. So I got in that dip with a good entry at about 39.40, right down there. It pops back up to 53, and then there was a seller on the level 2 on the ask. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get out. So got out, was waiting then for the next setup, and then it just kind of didn't form and sort of petered out. So I was like, all right, well, hey, $992. So basically, two winners, nothing huge, but 2 winners. So I'm sitting up about 1,300 on the day with those 2 trades combined. So I take off my 5,000 share cap, and then I'm just sitting there. That was 7:30. And I'm sitting there for 7:30. No news came out at 7:30 that I liked. So then we come up to 8 a.m. There's nothing at 8 a.m. that I like. So then we come to 8:30. And initially at 8:30, there's nothing. And then all of a sudden, VERB hits my scanner. Ding, ding, ding. This thing starts squeezing. Now, I knew VERB had just made a big move the other day. It was Friday. So I thought, and I'd actually already looked at the chart earlier today, but when I looked at it, I was like, well, that was a nice move, but kind of a head and shoulders, and now it's back down here. TWG, by the way, didn't take any trades on it today. It did pop up a little bit at the open, but had this ascending resistance line, which it came right into, so glad I had that drawn. I just didn't think it was worth it. Didn't do that 4 a.m. pop that I thought it might, so really just didn't have a lot of strength today. So no trades on that one. But anyways, going back to VERB, so all of a sudden, 8:30, it starts squeezing. And I'm just like, whoa, all right, we've got some action. So as soon as it hit my scanner, I already knew what was going on. I knew the stock had news because stocks don't start popping right at usually 8:30, bottom of the hour, if they don't have news. So it pops up right here, and I got my first entry at 8:57. I wanted to get in at 8:50 for the break over the $0.50, but I got filled a little high at 57. But then it screams up, I add at 75, so now I've got 65 average, and it goes straight to $9. It goes up to $9.20. So I'm like, boom, it's like $1,300 of profit on that first trade. It dips down, it comes back up, and as it comes back up here, I'm adding back for the break through the high, 920. We go up to 940. We dip down, so that's a small winner, nothing crazy. Pushes higher again, and I kept buying these breakouts. I did some dip trades on it as well. I was mostly doing breakout trades, and we finally had this top at about 1040. And so as I traded this move right here, even just these first like 7 minutes, I was able to lock up about $3,500 of profit on the stock. So I got myself to up 5,000 total on the day. And I was like, hey, that's not bad. And And biggest position through this move was probably 7,500 shares. I didn't go super heavy, so I don't think I went higher than that. I might have, but not much higher. So anyway, so then we have this topping tail here, and on the 1 minute, I look at the chart and I'm thinking, well, two things. I'm thinking on the 5 minute, we're a little extended. We sort of had this peak. Oh, actually, that hadn't happened yet. So it was this candle right here. We had this sort of red candle here, and I thought, 1050, maybe we've sort of peaked here. Let's see what this does. And it dips down, and then as it rips back up, right here, it comes back up, and I added at 1050, and then I'm adding at 1075. I'm adding at 11. I added 1125. I even added 1150. It goes all the way up to a high of 1180. It goes all the way to 1180. And on that trade, I had 10,000 shares once I was in full position, and I locked up about $7,000 of profit. 70 cents a share was my average, because I was adding higher, but it just kept going higher. So I was like, I'm going to ride this as long as I can. But anyways, we got that topping tail. I took my profit. I was up 12,000 on the day. I then added back right here and lost $2,000. So I went from up 12,000 to up 10,000. And I was like, okay, maybe time to slow down. That was a little bit of a rejection. It dips back down. I did a couple of dip trades. We had a double bottom down here off of 1020. We were stair stepping here down. And then here we did a pivot to start stair stepping up. So got back in over 1180 or 1080 right here. We got a step up to 1140. And then it was sort of struggling here. False breakout right there. I struggled on that one. In this area, I was trading between up 10,000 and like 11,500 on the day. And I had a lot of trades sort of in this range. I was getting in, getting out, getting in, getting out. So sort of churn commissions. And then finally right here, it comes back up, it drops down, it comes back up, and I'm like, is this going to work? And all of a sudden it goes to 12, and I'm like, gosh darn it. This was tricky because we sort of had this 1050 or 1150 resistance, but then we also had this level here. And then finally it breaks. I didn't trade the break very well. I add for the break at 12. It tops, is like all these topping tails here. Finally breaks, dumps. Anyways, this was not easy. And then finally it pulls away. It finally starts to pull away right here over 1250. And so I got some more trades here, but only made my way from 10,000 or 11,000 on the day up to a total of 14,000 on the day. I just kind of got to a point where I was like, maybe I should start to size down, So the spot where I got the most aggressive was right here. This was still very much beginning of the move, front side of the move. In this area here, we also were having a little bit of an issue with the MACD going negative on the trade. So MACD kind of was negative through this area. I was like, I don't know. It did start pulling away, obviously, but was a little tricky. Anyways, so I think I did pretty well on it. I'm sure there's others that did better, but in hindsight, could have held a little longer, could have been a little more aggressive. At the open, I took my final trade on it, getting in at 1450. It dips down here, right here, and then right there, I got in 1450 for the break through the highs, and that gave us a move all the way up to 16. Best exit for me, $16.13 going into the halt up, and was still holding a position through the halt, opens, dumps, and anyways, stopped out of that position as it came back down, halted down, and then that was it. So now it's about 10:50, coming up towards 11 a.m., not overstaying my welcome. I'm going to pretend the market just closed, and I'm going to be grateful for my gains. Now, one thing that was unfortunate today was that I couldn't take any trades in Thinkorswim. I didn't have any settled cash because today is a bank holiday. This is very silly, but it is a bank holiday. So those of us with margin accounts, we were able to trade today, but the cash account, my trades from Friday were not settled. So I wasn't able to get any trades in the Thinkorswim small account challenge today. This is where I sit on the month. 14,000 first week, 14,000 second week, 14,000 third week. Boom. All right. So this is off to a really good start here for the third week of the month. And now I feel like I have sort of like this, I'm in this nice position where I've got a little bit of cushion. On the one hand, if we see more action, I can be aggressive, and this could end up being the best month of the best week of the month. But on the other hand, if we have a couple of slow days, I also don't need to stress because I'm in the driver's seat. I can kind of sit back a little bit and coast. So if I have a couple of days where there's not a lot of great opportunities or it feels slow, I just have to remind myself, you got some really great trades on Monday. be grateful for that, and it'll pick up again. So just be patient, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing for me. So yeah, I suppose today I had a little challenge where I gave back 2,000 off the top, went from 12 to 10, and I had to ask myself, is this the spot where you walk away? And I felt like maybe I was starting to overtrade the backside of the move on it, because I kind of gave back a little bit on that rejection, and then I was like, all right, this is not really working here. It's choppy. I'm not really making anything. I'm taking kind of like, I don't know, I have to size down. And then we started to pull away, but I just didn't really feel confident sizing back up. Even as I crossed back up over 12,000, I was like, well, at that point, we were probably like up here, and I was like, I don't know, I'll add a little bit more profit, but I don't want to do anything crazy. So could have pushed it a little harder today, but Monday, beginning of the week. And if you recall last Monday, last Monday was sort of a tricky day. It was red all day long. It was red day recap, and then had a kind of trade into the close on AMBO that put me in the green. But then Tuesday, got green out of the gates, and then ended up taking that kind of Hail Mary trade later in the day and went to red. So not the best. Wednesday was the best day of last week. Thursday was slow. Friday was decent. So here we are Monday, a couple back-to-back nice days. It was good to see that action, and I'm hoping that we see a little bit more of it. That'd be great. This is a thing. You've got a stock with a float of under 1 million shares. When these start, picking up volume, you can get some impressive moves. Now, the interesting thing on this was the headline was Chairman and CEO sends a letter to stockholders. I don't really know. You don't usually see this. This is kind of interesting because, you'll see statements in like, earnings statements, but this is more of like, it's a little different. So he says, this is who I am. I want to take this opportunity to share some information about the company. I want to address the recent reverse stock split, the current share price, and the current business that comprise the company. Now, usually companies don't comment on current share price. So that, to begin with, is like, So first of all, here's the headline. As of today, our market cap is approximately $3.8 million as of our last Form 10Q filing. We had cash in the bank of approximately $17 million, and the only debt we have is ridiculously small. I love this. So now he's like, you could tell he's getting a little fired up. He's like at his keyboard, he's like ridiculously small, with low interest rate of 3.75%, low payment, 30-year small business loan. All right. So, I mean, okay, fair enough. That sounds like he's got a pretty healthy balance sheet. And so do the math. You do the math. This means if we trade at nothing more than our net cash value, the stock should be trading at more than $22 per share. This is kind of interesting because usually you don't see these kind of letters, hit the PR, hit the news feed. So that assumes we get zero value from the underlying business, zero. Now, I mean, I guess if we wanted to look more carefully at this, we could see what their expenses are like, because obviously I'm sure they have some expenses. So 10Q, so let's see. So, yep. So 17 million as stated. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. So operating loss from continued operations, $2.4 million. Net loss, 1.7. So, and that's just in 3 months. So, you could paint a rosy picture, but you got a company that on the surface here is losing $10 million a year. Okay. So, context. But all right. So assume that we get zero. It makes no sense to me that the stock should trade the way it does. I could see him. He's like typing this at like 3 a.m. He's so pissed. I can only assume that people are not reading the filings because they're morons. So I added that part. Analyzing the financials and recognizing the amazing opportunity that new VERB represents. And I understand, like, as I own Warrior Trading. I feel like it's, I speak highly of Warrior Trading. I believe in the company. I'm sure he believes in his company as well. So like, I get it. It's frustrating when people don't see, the value in what you're doing or the software you're creating or whatever the case is. So this is where I want to direct readers to safe harbor provisions as I intend to make forward-looking statements in what follows. Oh, interesting. Okay. So these are the forward-looking statements. We have completely restructured, realigned, and reconstituted, reinvigorate. This is a lot of re's. It's the 5 re's. Reconstitute, realign, reinvent, reconstitute again. Wait, restructured, reinvigorate, We sold an unprofitable business unit. I believe we placed ourselves top of the wave. So, interesting. Well, I mean, again, I think the thing here, so, well, wait a second. Well, what are the revenue generating business units? Because I'm a little confused about that. Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm trading the technicals, and I just thought it was kind of a funny catalyst. That's all. So, anyways, his letter was well received by the market. But there is the big picture of trying to understand what are their profitable business. What's going to change the net loss that they're currently seeing, and maybe there's something in here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that does address that. And $22 a share based on just net cash. Okay. But then that's going to be decreasing by, $10 million a year. So, $1 million a month or so. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, kind of interesting headline. Not every day we see that kind of like letter, but the market received it well. So who knows? Maybe we'll start seeing more of those. I don't know. But yeah, so that was VERB, low float. I think early shorts they got in, I think, early as it was popping. And a lot of beginner short sellers will do this. They'll just short anything that's popping. And, you have round trips. So, like, I get it. You have something popping up, round trip. But, now all of a sudden it's up 50%, 75%, 100%. And it's going higher. It's got momentum. So then as you're getting these pushes higher and it's really pulling away, that's where you're getting some of those shorts that are just blowing out and, just really fueling that upward momentum. Because, buyers will add smaller positions up there, but a short seller would be stopping out here like full size. So that could be like a 10,000 share buy order, boom, going through the market. Those types of orders are what really fuel it. Long, I mean, there'll be some longs that maybe add, full size at the top, but usually we're in a little lower, and then we're just adding smaller size as it moves higher to kind of ride that momentum as much as we can on little micro breakouts. So those big pops are usually, at least that's what I kind of think based on reading the price action, it's usually short covering. So I think we got some intraday shorts that got squeezed a little bit on that, got in a little too soon on a super low float, and so that's a wake up call. You've got to be careful with these. I mean, look, we had TNON super low float on this one, 400,000 share float. This literally, went from $5 a share. Let's look at the chart. I mean, if you just want to recognize like the risk that trading these can have. So all of a sudden this thing starts ripping and it goes from 4 to 5 to 6 to 8 to 10 to 15 to 20 to 50 to 60 to $130 a share. Boom, like that. 10,000 shares, you're down $1 million, gone. So it's just crazy how fast, you could go from a $30,000 position short on 10,000 shares at $3 to down $1 million. It's really crazy. So anyways, that's it for me. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you check out our 2-week trial. I'll put a link. I'll pin it to the top of the comments. I'll link it in the description so you guys can check that out and watch over my shoulder for the next 2 weeks, right? See what it's like to be part of this community here at Warrior Trading. Reminder as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you back here bright and early. I'll be streaming for members at Warrior Trading tomorrow morning. Okay, see you guys in the morning.